Hello everyone, and welcome to this assembly and painting video for Kingdom Death's Death High White Speaker model. This is actually the first model of the Death High model line from, well, Kingdom Death, which are all based on spin-offs of the Kingdom Death monster characters. Which it's fitting that the White Speaker is also the first model, because it was the first model for the game pretty much, as we've been recently reminded the 10-year anniversary. So, as you can see, the assembly is pretty much almost done because it was just a simple 3-piece model. I've actually since stopped recording assembling models that are 5 pieces or less because, well, yeah, as you can see, it's already over. There was no really anything to explain. The model wasn't too hard to put together, but speaking of the model, you can kind of see it right there. Since assembling it and recording painting this, which was months, my painting rig actually fell on this model, or my recording rig for painting, I should say, fell on this model and broke the boken. So yeah, that's why it's all jagged, partially gray, which is the putty to try to fill in some gaps, and a lot shorter. It doesn't look horrible once it's painted, but it still really stands out when you get a close look at it. So yeah, but oh well, the model didn't break too much. The photo resin isn't as fragile as the regular resin, but it's still more fragile than their plastic models, which, yeah, oh, I've already had to fix so many of these models, but life happens. But to the point of the model. So, as you can see, I did most of the flesh there already by this point in the model, and it's pretty much just all one color. She's being painted as pale as possible for what I can do, because again, there is no sun in the Kingdom Death setting, so almost all the characters are very pale. It is kind of awkward that, like, oh hey, look, they're all white or not people of color, like the people the sun come the closest, and it's like, I would not say that's a person of color. But at the end of the day, that's what the setting is. It would be more interesting if they showed some different art styles for the alternate versions, be it the sci-fi, the Death High, or whatever, but that's neither here or there. Regardless, from there I move on to painting this very light scale of gray, which, if anybody's watched any of my previous videos where I have something that's white, primarily her shirt in this case, that is what I use as a base coat before ink washing and highlighting. It's really hard to tell the difference. It almost looks like I'm doing nothing, and yes, I'm painting her underwear white. Oh my god, the color debates for this model were all over the place, including for her underwear. And like I had at least one friend I talked to about color references with her bra, and yeah, that's semi-relevant because it shows up in the artwork, but I'll get to that later when I get around to that far later in the video. Then I'm going over the model with a dark gray. This is the same dark gray that I use for the base of Kingdom Death models, like the literal base that I paint, which will subtly in a flash be painted in this video because I've decided to stop showing you all of that to, stop wasting your time. But the model itself, in this case, I'm painting primarily the coat. This color does get used again for a actual highlight of all things on something other than black, although it does get used to highlight what little black is in this model. And honestly, it's just primarily the coat, which comes off more as a zipper sweater than anything. But yeah, and ends up being, well, one of the more surface areas of the model, because while it looks like I'm painting real slowly, this entire video is sped up 3 times, because there's no way I would have any of you be forced to watch this at regular speed. But as you can see it being painted, you can also see the light gray starting to really stand out from the previous color I was painting, like on the shirt and everything, as opposed to the hair and the skirt, which will be entirely different colors from said white gray, or light gray. They will, however, be the same color, coincidentally. But also, she's got sweater leggings, or whatever those things are called that I don't remember. At least they're held up with something, but yeah, I ended up making them the same color as the coat itself. I know I didn't really debate too much on those, but I did debate and change the color of the shoes at least once. And this line of it above the makeshift belt thingies that are, I'm guessing, holding it up or just a fashion statement was really annoying to paint and not paint over the flesh or said belt things. But tiny details are kind of one of the reasons you get into Kingdom Death because, oh boy, details. But yeah, I continue painting that, and that pretty much ends up being the rest of that color. And then again, like I said, the base will suddenly pop, be done. Like that. Then I move on to a darker red. This is the same red that I use for, as you can obviously see, the skirt itself and the hair. And as much as it's a little awkward to say, you're watching me paint a, Kingdom Death Japanese schoolgirl based model, so you gotta be aware of some bits of this subject. I was debating for a while of painting her underwear red because her bra is. In the model, or in the picture for the model, it is like the actual photo art piece that comes with the model itself, like all of the art pieces. It ends up being very clear, in retrospect to me at least. I had to ask a friend what her opinion was of, like, there is something coming through the shirt, and it's like, okay, is she just wearing this really tight with no bra, or is it just a bra that is a thick enough, dark enough color that it's coming through? And her opinion was that it was red, so I ended up highlighting would be red, thus the shirt gets highlighted pink later. And honestly, I went back to the design of the white speaker normally, and thus went with white for under the skirt, because that's not clearly shown, unlike the bra, which arguably clearly is a relative term there. It's visible as opposed to not. But the red also gets, as you can see, used on the bow, part of the shoes, which I believe is the part that I ended up changing, but also most of the hair. The base coat of the hair is entirely red. Part of it gets painted pink later. I'm mentioning that now in case it gets missed, because oh boy, does that go by really quick. But yeah, the hair is one of the things that I love for these Death High models, or a lot of the static Kingdom Death models. It looks more dynamic. It ends up all over the place in a good way, not in like, look at this tentacly mess kind of crud. Although it is a little hard to get all the details and everything. Like, personally, I can't wait till I get around to the 10th anniversary 10-year Survivor models, honestly, just to paint the hair of the two female models, because it just looks amazing, both of them. Regardless, continuing with this model. So, her bag, I kind of want to say backpack, but it looks more like a gym bag. I end up painting a base coat of purple. This will later get highlighted a dark blue, and the bottom actually, like I said, or more what I was alluding to, will get highlighted in a dark gray, the same dark gray for the sweater, because honestly I wanted to actively look dirty. Now, the zipper on this thing is proportionally huge. It just feels like awkward level of huge, but we'll get to that later. So, the bowkin, I end up doing a tannish color. This is usually what I use to highlight any browns, and I forget what I highlighted this in, honestly. I can't remember if I highlighted it in a bone color, a flesh color, but whatever. Yeah, so as you can see, it already makes the mess there look, except for at this exact angle, look a lot less like an issue. And here's the said zipper. That thing is huge. Like, that would be a 2-inch thick zipper, which I only have one piece of clothing that has that, and it is a Gur hoodie. So, yeah, it better be huge. And then the straps on the whole thing get painted black from top to bottom. Now, you can see there's a little bit on there that isn't just straps and cloth. There's actually some other accoutrements on her bag, and also her phone, which you probably have yet to even notice, because oh boy does it blend in until it's painted. And this is actually the only black that I end up doing on the entire model, if I'm correct. Black and brown have been two colors lately when painting models in general, regardless of what game it's for, that I'm just like, oh, look, here's another moment where I have to use this. Not that I'm really sick of it, it's just I get surprised that I always find a use for it. Like, I remember sitting down and painting this model for a while and just like, oh, hey, nothing gets painted brown up until the belt, which, as you can see, is brown. I don't remember when I painted that in this video, but sometimes I end up leaving stuff out by accident. Be it I forget to actually record it, or yeah. Now here I'm actually painting things in bone, because she actually does have a few things that are basically bits of bone by the looks of it. And then a light gray, not as light as the one used for the shirt, but more an actual light gray instead of a murky white, is being used for a few different areas, primarily this thing on her thigh, which honestly kept reminding me of the Pokemon symbol, but and her phone, which obviously stands out now. Also, the bottom of her shoes. I had debated a while what I wanted to do with the bottom of the shoes, and I do that a lot with sneakers, actually. I don't know why, but every little bit matters. And honestly, minus some things that I missed, like the hairband, that's the entire base coat. Now, on to some ink washing. Because, yeah, hey, ink washing. Folks, it helps a lot with any model. Now, I'm not saying do it all in black like I do most of the time, which I'm trying to get away from. This model was painted earlier this year, actually not too long ago, unlike a lot of my recordings. But yeah, it still was a model that I wanted to ink wash entirely in black. But yeah, like, I'm trying to move away from it with flesh and stuff like that. I know I also recently painted the starting survivors finally, and some of them end up looking really messy. Her legs here kind of do as well, but for her, I'm okay with that because, again, the bottom of her bag is clearly dirty, and she looks like somebody that's just constantly getting grungy, like always ready for a fight. Because, yeah, she's definitely set up as the delinquent kind of stereotype, not a regular schoolgoer. But the amount of detail it brings out, like, for example, the coat, the hair, or the shirt, it just ends up having a wonderful effect. Unfortunately, with the putty for fixing the boken, it brings out that too. Again, that one specific angle is still really bad, but small things you gotta deal with. I literally, like, a chunk of it went missing and I just couldn't find it. I looked for it. I even kept thinking I saw it for months afterwards. C'est la vie. And again, like I said, the ink wash ends up kind of messy for the legs, but it looks more like dirt, so it's not like, oh, okay, that's really odd. It's more just like, that's kind of fitting. And I do actually ink wash the base, but that I do off camera. And then on to some highlighting. So, again, the red never really shows up too well on the camera with a highlight, but it does, like, in person, especially when I go from an even darker shade to then highlighting what I used as the base coat on this one with other models. It actually ended up really nice on the ribbon, and you could see right there the fact that the headband, she has a headband going through that I don't know how I forgot in the base coat recording, but c'est la vie. It's there now. Then again, I think I also forgot to record painting the masks, the two on the back and the one on the front of her phone, but I might have gotten those early on with the light gray and just went through them real quick because they were tiny. So here I'm highlighting all the darker grays with the same light gray that I ended up using for the thigh bag, which again still looks like a Pokeball icon even after it gets painted later. And for those that aren't aware, highlighting is meant to bring out the colors of, like, things so that they stand out more. When you're just doing a baseline, not trying to bring attention to anything, it's just good for doing in general. When you're trying to do lighting effects, which could be really important with Kingdom Death, if you're not trying to do a generic object light source where you just paint the color of the light on, which I do with a lot of my Kingdom Death models. You want to separately paint that area brighter rather than just highlighting it. I'm going to be actually trying that with the Gorm when I eventually get around to painting it, and hopefully I'll be able to get a video up of that eventually. But yeah, white here gets used almost everywhere. It gets used on the shirt, the flesh, because she's already really pale, and just anything of the light gray and stuff like that. Now, as you can see by the color on the brush, because it doesn't show up too well on the model itself while filming, although it does in parts, I am highlighting the bag in a dark blue so that it brings out, like, the point is it's not supposed to look purple, it's supposed to look like a really dark blue at the end, but it with a still purplish tint to it, and I really didn't have an issue with it just being purple. And again, highlighting the Bokin in a color that I don't remember what it is. Sorry about that. Which, again, further brings out the And real quick, hey, let's highlight that belt. And poof, that's done. And then using the same gray that I used for the shirt on, well, the light gray, so it's an even lighter one, with just the two main areas, highlighting the bands, which were originally painted in a brass color, being highlighted in a actual gold, which thus is what I wanted them to look like, and then highlighting the bag itself in the same dark gray that's being used for the sweater and everything. The straps get highlighted that, but so do the bottom of the bag to make it look dirty. And then here's the awkward, hey, let's highlight her tits, because bra popping through. Yay! Again, Kingdom Death. If you're either here for this stuff or you're used to it, and in my case, a bit of both. Now, I look like I'm going at normal speed with the video. Nope, this is still 3 times speed. I am painting a lot of really small details at this point, and I am just going that slow. So it was the red for the bag and for the mask being the normal white speaker icon, some, I can't remember if I went with a light pink or a flesh tone for her lips. And here's something new for me that I don't try too often, is actually painting on details onto a surface. In this case, it's the plaid design for the skirt. And I don't really know how I felt about how this came out. I was happy with the end results because painted model is better than not painted model, but it does look a little messy. But hey, you gotta start somewhere with things, and I'm always going to encourage people, you know, if it's gonna look bad, screw it, do it anyway. Gotta start somewhere. Worst case scenario, if you don't like it, you can always strip the paint off later and do it again. But I actually don't really recommend just doing it over again. Point is, don't be afraid of your models looking bad. It's better that it gets done. But as you can see, it does. It's stripes going vertically all the way around, and then 2 horizontally. And then here's her 2, technically 3 bands of pink in her hair, which then is the same color applied to try to emphasize more on the different stripes going across the skirt. The hair itself was an interesting kind of thing, because looking at the picture, it looks like she's got like a few locks of hair that are pink, probably dyed them, and then uses that as a natural hair tie for the rest, thus why it has a band-like effect. And, well, that's the entire model, folks. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to press that like button. If you think somebody else will enjoy this, feel free to share this video. Either way, it'll help this video get seen more. If you didn't like this video, go ahead and press that dislike button. I won't mind, but please leave a constructive comment as to why. I understand I was kind of more rambly with this one, and also there's still the awkward conversations of, you know, figuring out colors in certain places. But, c'est la vie. If you had a problem with that, go ahead and mention. Also, feel free to comment in general, such as if you'd like to see more models like this painted. This actually was originally asked for some long time ago. I apologize to the person who asked for it for taking so long to get around to this, but here it is. But also, if you want to hear more stuff about Kingdom Death in general, or see other models painted that you've seen me unbox or talked about on my channel, feel free to comment. And if you want to see more like this, be it more unboxing videos, my board game overviews, my painting videos, all 3 of which I try to do for Kingdom Death stuff, and anything else that I might do on this channel, feel free to subscribe. Regardless, thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye!